Hey everyone, I'm Samak Agarkar and welcome to Agaka Media Academy. This is the 12th tutorial in Blender animation tutorial series. In the last tutorial, we saw how to use principled BSDF to give colors and shading to our objects in 3D. In this tutorial, we are going to look at some advanced techniques to give realistic looking colors and materials to our meshes inside of 3D in Blender. So the method that we are going to use is PBR materials. So basically what PBR materials is a set of some different images which you can directly use onto our objects to give realistic looking textures to it. So there are many resources for finding PBR materials, but we'll just be using the free materials for now. Two good resources are freepbr.com. Here you can find different PBR materials which you can directly use on your objects, and some one another is CC0 textures. So CC0 textures has 816 public domain PBR textures which you can directly use on your objects inside of Blender. So there are also other websites where you can buy PBR textures which are really great, but for now in this tutorial we are just going to look at the free ones, and let's use this texture. Let's just open it up. The name of this texture is, or material is, paving stones 36. We have nothing to do with the name, just selected this because it looks really awesome in my opinion. Let's understand the resolutions. So this material set has three resolutions possible: 2K, 4K and 8K. 2K is good for if the objects are really small or they are far off in the scene. 8K can be used if you want very detailed versions or very detailed materials and textures for your objects. I have already downloaded 4K textures for this exact material, and we are going to use that inside of Blender. Let me just show you the set of images that I have got using the download button for the 4K images. Here I have 5 different images that I got from the PBR material. So here you can see paving stone 36 underscore AO underscore call underscore disp underscore NRM underscore RGF. So this is just a naming convention for different images. You can see that all 5 of them are related to each other. They are somewhat similar in some kind, but they are different in how they look and how they are behaving. So we are just going to understand the naming convention first. AO stands for ambient occlusion. So what ambient occlusion is, if you understand how light works in real life, so at the crevices or at the corners, the light really does not bounce so much, so it creates some shadows. So that is those shadows at the corners or at the crevices or at the edges is called as ambient occlusion. So this is the texture for emulating ambient occlusion. COL stands for color, so this would be the color of the material. DISP stands for displacement, NRM stands for normal, and RGF stands for roughness. Now let's just look at what we were up to in the last tutorial. We saw principled BSDF shader. If you just look at all the functionalities that are possible here, you can see it has base, color. So color image can be used directly here. We have roughness here, so RGF can be used here, and we have normal here. In the last tutorial I told you that normal we did not basically use the normal functionality. Now in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to use the NRM normal, this one, this image right here to the normal, and how it changes and how it gives depth to the object that we are seeing right now. So I've selected this cube. Let's add the image of color and just join them up. So to add an image texture, we just go to add texture and image texture and just click it here, and you can open it up. Otherwise also you can do adding is the same shortcut. Shift A gives add and texture and image texture. So let's open up that exact image. It's in downloads, textures, and here we are just going to use the color to join up to the color. Now in the last tutorial I also told you that yellow should be joined to yellow, gray should be joined to gray, blue should be joined to blue, and green should be joined to green, and stuff like that, right? So here we have color as yellow handle, and the base color input is also yellow in color. So you can just directly join them up. Let's join them up, and as soon as we join, give it some time to compile, and as we can see, the color has been applied. Now the color has been applied, but there is some problem. So that is what color image does. Color has been applied, but the reflections are not really realistic, right? Everything cannot be reflecting by the same amount uniformly, right? So what we basically need is that the grass here will be more less reflective than the cement bricks, right? This is what realistically should be, but it is not happening right now. What we can do here is we can just increase or decrease the roughness node here, a roughness value here, but then it is being applied to the complete cube by itself, right? So we don't have exact control to make the crevices rough and to make the stone actually softer or smoother or more reflective. So let's just use the roughness map that we had. We can just drop it down, or just clicking it will just drop it down so that we can arrange them in a better fashion. We're just going to duplicate it. For duplication, we can just use shift D. We used shift D. Let's just open it up and open the roughness image here. So here is RGF roughness map, and now roughness here. I already told you that gray can yellow should not be used to gray, but somewhere gray is somewhat like it can be used anywhere. So gray is not something which is very bound that you should use gray to gray only. You can use gray to some other very other color handles as well. So as soon as we join the color to roughness, and we are using the roughness map here, you can see that some realistic shadows is happening right away. The stones are more reflective than the this grass. If you just remove it, you can see all of them are just reflecting uniformly. But as soon as we join this roughness to roughness node, it just looks somewhat realistic, right? But again, one thing is still missing, and that is the depth to the material. So realistically, the stones should be much higher, somewhat higher than the this grass, right? This ground. So this is not happening. So for that, we are going to use the normal map. Normal map is used to give depth, right? So just again duplicate it by shift D. I'm placing it here. We know that normal map is right here, so just dragging it down here, and we are just going to open the normal map right here in this node. So this is our normal map. Normal map are very easily visible. They are mostly blue reddish in color, and just open it up. We have the normal map opened here. Now, as I've already told you, orange or yellow should not be joined to blue. If we join it, everything has just messed up. So it is not the right way to do it. We want the output here is yellow in color and the input here is blue in color. So we want something that can change or convert yellow to blue, but that should also be logical in sense. So the logical node here is inside of vector panel, just add vector, and we have a normal map. So normal map, what it does is it basically converts a normal texture to a normal vector. So this is what normal map. So here you can see the input to this node is yellow, which can be joined to color here, and the output is normal, which can be directly joined to normal. So as soon as we do it, we can see some depth happening right away. You can just increase the depth or decrease the depth from the strength panel. I think the strength of 0.4 or so looks really awesome. It is up to you. It's no rocket science. You just need to change the numbers down here until you get your desired uh, depth and something like that, right? So now let's go to the layout panel. So I've already set up the camera which is facing towards the node, towards the cube, and I'm right now in the render preview mode. By default, we are basically in the solid preview mode where the materials are not visible. We just need to go to either material preview mode or rendered mode will give realistic looking colors. I have also bumped up the strength of light source, which is what we are using here. This is the default light which was there from the beginning, and to go to the camera view I just pressed 0, and then I just locked the camera to view in the N panel. So N is to open up this panel, and I locked the camera view and I just changed the position of the camera such that a good view of the cube is visible. And now I selected the light here and I went to the light panel. Let me just move myself away so that you can see what's happening. So in the as soon as I've selected the light, in the object data properties, here we have a point light, and I increase the strength to somewhere around this. You can just increase and decrease the strength to see what looks good. And I change the color to somewhat yellow. It's not too much yellow, it's just a little bit tinge of yellow color, just to be looking like a sun. And just render it out. So render and render image, and that's it. Just give it a second, and this is it. It is really looking so awesome. So this is how you can use PBR textures to give colors, realistic looking materials to our objects. Now of course there are other things that we need to understand about how to scale up and scale down this exact texture. So let's say we don't want the bricks to be of this size, we want the bricks to be of smaller size. So we have not seen any way to do that. In the next tutorial we are going to look at just that. So this is it for this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do subscribe. Share this video with your friends and family so that they can also learn to create awesome animations and 3D models inside of Blender. Blender is a very free and open source platform, which is you don't need to pay anything for that, and that's why it is really great. It is competing very it is giving a very tough competition to the likes of Maya, 3ds Max, and Cinema 4D and stuff like that. So Blender is really awesome, and I'm just putting out free tutorials for you so that you can learn from these tutorials and create awesome 3D models and animations inside of Blender. So hope you like this video. If you have any suggestions or queries, please comment down in the comment section below, and see you in the next tutorial. Till then, keep smiling and keep learning.